Welcome everybody to the Mind, Body, and Soul television show coming to you live from ConsciousEvolutionMedia.com. We are streaming it, and also we are on YouTube Live as well as Google Hangouts. And I'm your host, Coach Steve Toth, and the founder of Conscious Evolution Media. And we have a very interesting and intriguing guest with us this evening. Her name is Stefana Jocelyn. She is an innovative and visionary business consultant. And our theme today is going to be how to face and slay your dragons. And of course, as usual, my first question to Stefana, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And the first question, which has been going on for I don't know how many years, is if I took away the titles that I just mentioned, like an innovative visionary business consultant, and any other titles that anybody in your life has ever called you, if I take them all away, what's left? Who is really Stefana Johnson?
But those titles make me. Those titles are who I am. That's just part of the game.
No, they don't.
Yeah, really. At this stage in my life, they are definitely more authentic. They're closer to the truth than, well, you know, if I put in that I was a, I was going to go a little bit out there, but if I put in that I was this stripper or this staunch CPA, or I'm a hard-nosed lawyer, or I'm this or that, I mean, they're just, it doesn't negate who we are, who the truth of this, do you know what I mean? We're just
well, it's whatever is your response, I am perfectly okay with. And if this is your response, this is your response.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Fantastic. So I love what you do. I'm curious, why is it that you just do this for women? Why not men?
Oh, goodness. Well, you need some help, Steve. Would you like my help? Oh, goodness. I love working with women. And because I know women, and I'll be told, so I'm just going to be completely honest with you. When I work with men...
You mean you were lying until now?
No, but I wouldn't go and promote this. So when I'm working with men as opposed to women, and I do work with both, but I promote to women, when I'm working with a man, I notice my energy shifts. I have to take on a different air. I have to put up certain types of boundaries because it's just the game that the male-female plays. And the thing is, my image as a woman, because I have a background in modeling and acting, and I put myself out there as being pretty, men can look at that. I mean, it's just, look, the sex comes out. And as a result, that energy is there. And so it gets in the way a little bit of the work that I'm doing.
Well, what about all the women that are gay? And what about all the women that are gay and they're in front of you and they fall in love with you immediately? What about that?
Well, you know, I haven't had that experience, but...
Really? What planet? What planet are you living on? Where are you hiding out?
I don't know. Do you know, it's really about, because the work that I do is much deeper than the superficial or I do a lot of depth to the way I work. It's very much getting to the bottom of things. And when you do that, the social mechanisms that we all create, that we do just to survive, I mean, just basic normal life manners, and these are good things to have, but that sometimes gets in the way of getting to the bottom of the truth. And while I do the business consulting, which is essentially to help my clients really have something that's their own, and that, because I believe enterprise is very healing. You know, You know this about me, that I have worked, and I still work a lot in the healing modalities of especially trauma and abuse, especially past sexual abuse. Those are pieces of me. My books are out there. It talks about this, so clients come to me for that and know that, not necessarily for that directly, but they know that I have that compassion and understanding. But I also know that for us to keep focusing on that is not serving them, but to focus on being successful in their enterprise, whatever that is very healing, very therapeutic, and actually can move them out of the muck and into a higher place where they're creating, where they're sharing their gifts, where they're expressing their truth authentically. Ideally, that's what I like to help my clients do, and to get out there and be visible, to be seen, to be heard, to be felt, to be experienced, and of course, that as a result of that, to be appreciated through monetary, through money, through profits, right? So,
well, it seems to me, Stefana, that there are a lot of women that are doing this right now. I mean, I kind of view our network, Conscious Evolution Media, as a laboratory, and for the last several years, there has been hundreds, if not thousands, of women, and I'm not going to say like you because there's no one like you, but similar notions that they just want to work with women and they want to empower women, and there's a movement. I mean, you know, people that don't see or feel this movement, then I don't know what planet they're living on. But there is something that has been going on and unfolding in reference to the power of women that they are reclaiming it. They are reclaiming it, and rightfully so.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for that acknowledgement.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I accept that completely on behalf of us all.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm personally sick and tired of having all men in the boardroom. I think that's disgusting. That's completely out of balance. And what the heck? What do we know, men, about one of the most important things that I discovered, which is why I believe women are really great at business, which is women know how to have babies and how to birth them and how to take care of them after they are born, and that's what a business is.
Mm-hmm.
And man has been claiming all these years that they know that, but I don't buy it.
As far as business?
As far as business, yeah. It's for men. It's been all about control, power, and money. That's what it's
maybe. I think that's a big blanket statement. But yes, that may feel that way, and I can see why you would say that.
It's a big blanket statement.
Oh,
Stefana,
I don't necessarily...
look around in government. Who's in government? Okay. It's all men. It's all men. There are some women, very few. Who's in pharmaceuticals? Who's sitting in the boardrooms, in the pharmaceutical industry, in the health industry?
That's right. And look at the products and look at the results.
Yeah, who's in education? It's all, you know, all these industries. It's all men, and they think, we still think that we know, and everything is breaking down around us. Do you feel that, or am I just living in a bubble?
Well, as far as breaking down around us, I think it's a process, and I think it's a process that we are all experiencing because we are experiencing the idea of ourselves and being more in touch with ourselves, which is, I think, has been a dichotomy of, well, it's black or white. There's male and there's female. There's force and there's power. You know, I talk about how force, yes, if you keep forcing something, that isn't really the true use of power. And I think that generally women have the ability to use their power without force. And for me, that is the true use of power. They are expressing their power.
Let me add something to that.
Okay.
My experience of women using their power, and I know that this is changing, but I call it manipulation. They're very good at it.
Did I know you were going to say that? Of course I did. Look, manipulation. Yeah, but But here's the thing: we can't say men or women. Women manipulate them because men do it too, and women are forceful and use that too. So I think that we're going to have to start taking off this the genetic or you know, the male-female thing, and just understand it, that we're human beings, and when we can embrace that, that's going to take us to another level. Instead of this, you're over there because you've got a penis, and you're over there because you can give babies, you know, birth them. That's just not. Yeah. It's so base of, and it's useless.
I happen to agree with you, because I don't see people for their sexes. You know, I don't see you like what you talked about earlier in the show, that you are a female and you're very good looking. Yeah, I get that, but that's not where I'm coming from. I'm coming from your beauty, your internal beauty, who you really are, and what you're doing in the world, and that's a whole different way of looking at humanity and evolution than just to look at people for their sexes.
Yeah, I mean, it's still nice to play that game of being beautiful for your partner and being sexy for your partner. That's all part of the deliciousness of the human experience. I have 2 sons, 2 boys.
They are gorgeous. They are gorgeous, by the way.
Thank you. I love them. Yeah. But they are Lego fiends and Star Wars and you know, boy stuff. And I wanted Dollhouse, and I bought a Dollhouse, and I brought it home, and I said, let's play Dollhouse. Because I wanted to play. I mean, I was tired of playing with Legos and building Legos, and that's what they do with their dad. And they great, go do that.
Transformers.
And the thing is, that's just in their natural DNA. But I noticed when my husband saw the Dollhouse, he said, please get that out of my home now. This is unacceptable. I can't let my son play with that. I was like, what? I'll paint the doors purple. I'll paint them brown if you need them. But
what's interesting is that he's been living in a dollhouse all along.
Isn't that the truth?
Yes. And he hasn't noticed.
It's true. But here's the game. I mean, it's just the game. It's just
everything is a game.
We're used to that.
And we make up the rules.
Yes, exactly. And I think that we can just take some of the pressure off and start to find a little bit more joy in everything. A Course in Miracles talks about this so much, and it doesn't mean what we imagine it to mean. It doesn't mean what we think it means. That upset, that anger doesn't mean what you imagine it to mean, or it doesn't mean what you think it means. And that's a really good place to start, because he's a man or has a penis doesn't mean what you think it means. So when you asked me, why do I work with women and not men, that is a really good question. And you know what? I have been addressing that it's been coming up for the last week. People have been asking me that again.
Yeah, because if you're teaching, and this is what I get, what you're teaching, if the core of what you're teaching is really how to face and slay your dragons, which is what really appealed to me when I looked at your website. It's what talked to me. You know, men needs to face and slay their dragons just like women. Right. In fact, you can't really be successful until you do that. How do I know it? Because I did it.
Yes, good.
I'm speaking from personal experience. And it doesn't matter what sex we are, we got to face and slay our dragons. It's either that or the dragons is going to run the show.
Exactly. But in business, there is marketing. And because if you're in business, then you're marketing to an audience, and you have to invest your dollars. So would I find a specific audience that's male who wants to slay their dragons, who wants to to grow their business as they heal within? Perhaps, but it's a little bit harder. So you see what I'm saying? So, and the majority of the people in my audience when I go and speak publicly are women. They are more interested in things that I have to say. So would I like to help men? Of course. Like I said, I have 2 sons. I have a husband. I want to help them more than anything. The best thing that I can do to help them is to model for them.
I think the problem is that a lot of men, and I could be accused, and I don't really care that I'm generalizing, but I think a lot of men out there in the business world are not open. So so when they hear something like this show, or they hear somebody like you speaking and talking about business, you know, they may hear the first 2 sentences and they're going to turn off because they say, this is what they say, I already know.
Yes, and
thank you, I don't need that.
That, and they're out there spearheading this hero, I've got to save the world, or I've got to bring home the bacon. I mean, they're still in that game. They're still in that mode when they shut it off and say, whoa, I can't go there, I can't feel, I can't get in touch with my heart, I can't get in touch with my no, because they have to get out there and force, because that what is it, the saber-toothed tiger is going to get them. So that they're still in that brain, and that's okay. They'll shift when they're ready, or they'll decide when they're ready, and everybody will do what they need to do when they need to do it, right?
Absolutely. So Stefano, so this is not about me. This show is about you. But I just got to say something. So I removed myself from the world 10 years ago because I was completely and utterly disgusted with the world, the way I saw it, and you know, I recognized that because the way I saw it and how I saw it is because it was me that saw it that way. And I said, well, I don't want to live in this world, so I can't change the world, but I certainly can change me. So I locked myself away in a 12 by 12 room and created this network 10 years ago. And I really didn't go out into the world until I started to go out back into the world like 2 years ago. And the reason I'm telling this little story is because where I am today, so I healed myself, I know who I am, I know why I'm here, I know what my passion is, all of that is very clear, and I know how I want to live my life. Everything is clear. And what I was called to do just recently, and this is interesting because we have done over 15,000 shows, and I couldn't tell you how many times I have said this, Stefano, that I will never go back to corporate America. Well, guess what? 2 months ago, I went back into corporate America because I was called to do it. And what I felt is that, well, this is nice that I created this network and I've been talking about this stuff on these shows, and you know, I know that it touches and moves and inspires people, and that I probably have changed lives, and it doesn't really matter how many. I'm not counting. I'm way beyond that. But it kind of felt like I created my own little universe here, and it was getting to be very, very comfortable. Does that make sense so far?
Sure.
So I said because it's too comfortable, I want to break out of this and get outside of this comfort zone and see, based on what I've been experiencing and what I've been learning about me and what's important to me, see if I can bring this into corporate America and make a difference.
Great.
Well, guess what? and I guess this is about me and about my personality, that when I pick these projects, I pick the hardest ones, the most challenging ones. I'm consulting, so I'm doing kind of work like you do, and I picked the industry. I picked the finance industry, and I picked realtors and mortgage brokers that I feel that this industry is absolutely disgusting. And just because we went through whatever we went through in 2006, all that has changed is we have enacted a whole bunch of laws, but the people haven't really changed. The same people are running the show that have ran them into the ground in 2006. Does this make any sense?
I'm hearing what you're saying.
Okay. So what I committed myself to is that I'm going to change the industry, and I'm going to lead it, and I'm going to do it with a bunch of people right here in Denver, locally, and we're going to be the example. I'm not going to worry about changing the industry per se. I'm just going to worry about me bringing to it whatever it is that I want to bring to it that will make a difference for a small group of people in Denver, just like a laboratory. Can consciousness, can evolution of humanity actually exist in a business setting? And I know that I'm not the only one that's doing this. I'm clear about that. But I have not seen it working yet in a corporate environment. You may have, because you've been probably doing this longer than I have. But what I'm finding is that people are absolutely ready for this. People are ready, and what I'm speaking about in this environment is this business, and it's the money business, cannot be about money, just about money. Because what's off with the industry is that the only thing they care about is how much money they're going to make. That's the only subject matter that's interests them, and it's the only passion or reason that they can bring to the table why they're in the business, is to make money.
Well, what is money?
Money is just energy. It just gives us the ability to be free and give energy back to whoever, whenever, and whatever we want to do, we can do it. We can use it for good. We can use it for bad. It's our choice.
Mm-hmm. So
money is very powerful.
Money is
very powerful. But if it's the only thing, the energy of money is powerful. But if the only thing, I don't want to get up in the morning and go to this corporate environment because I just want to help them make money. That ain't it. We better have a better reason, a better purpose, a higher purpose than just make money. And I feel that making the money is a byproduct of who we are being.
Okay. Yeah, money is a tool. So I hear what you're saying. I think you've just come around now. So it's a byproduct. Is what you're saying then is what you want to do is fix the result of this byproduct of the conflict around money, or conflict and confusion within people.
Well, I don't want to fix anything. I want people to get. I don't have the power to fix it. I want people to get that what this process is about. It's about people coming home to themselves and connecting their hearts to their head, and to see what results that will bring about. Because I'm finding that most people are running around just in their head. It's all about processes. It's all about what are we going to do next. People want to. It's all about confusion, manipulation, fear, and control. That's what it's all about.
Okay, Steve, what's your plan? Tell me how you're going to do it.
I'm going to do it by example.
Okay.
I'm going to show them that, and I'm doing it already, is that the reason that I want to be in business and the reason I want to get up in the morning is because I want to provide value and I want to serve people. That's my purpose. And if I'm not bringing value, and if I'm not serving people, then it's not a win-win. Then I'm not even interested in pursuing it. I don't even want to get up in the morning. Okay. I mean, that's how I've done my entire network, is serving people and bringing value.
Mm-hmm.
So let me give you an example in the finance industry. So here are the realtors, here are the mortgage brokers. Okay, and this has been around for a long time. Somehow, the realtors have put themselves into the first-class category. I don't know how, doesn't really matter. The mortgage people have been in second class. and the way mortgage people have been relating to realtors is that they go and beg for loans. That doesn't work. What mortgage people have on their forehead is, I need loans. Can you get me a loan? Can I get a loan today? If I bring coffee, donuts. If I take you to lunch, take you to dinner, act like I'm really developing a relationship.
I think you're talking about some incompetent mortgage brokers, because I know very, very competent, exceptional mortgage brokers who that's not their tactic.
that may be, but unfortunately, the rules are accurate that 80%, 20% of the mortgage brokers are doing 80% of the business, and vice versa. 20% of the realtors are doing 80% of the business.
Yeah, it's a nice
and
law.
It doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
It shouldn't be that way. So there's a way to take that off mortgage brokers' forehead, that they are in a subservient position, and say to the realtor, hey, guess what? Instead of me putting myself up front, how about if I'm going to care about you, the realtor, and I'm going to help you to be successful and to generate some business. I'm going to show you how I can help you to generate a couple of deals or 3 deals a month, and here's how I'm going to do it. So putting the realtor first, just like putting the customer first, and just having us be there, and as a byproduct of who we are being, the money will be taken care of. It will come. What do you think about that?
I think that you well, what do I think about that in general, or your idea of going into corporate and doing this action? What do you want? Do you want my approval, or?
No, I don't want your approval. I just want to have a dialogue with you. I don't need your approval. I'm going to do it regardless of what you think.
Well, okay, then I think that's great. I mean, you have your viewpoint. Everyone has their viewpoint about,
of course, so do you.
Everything it is. So I'll give you mine. You just said, what do I think about it? I'll tell you. I think that, just like you said 10 years ago, you had sequestered yourself so that you could sort out whatever you needed to sort out.
I did my work, yes.
And you did some work. And the thing that I know more than anything after practicing, and you said it yourself, I've been doing this quite a bit longer than you have, so I have an understanding, is that we all, myself included, we all go through changes. So let's say when we take ourselves out of one box and we think, we're free, we don't realize that we're actually in another box. And then we get out of that box and we're free, and then we're actually inside of another box. And the thing is, this awareness that you're having, now that you're ready to go into corporate, or you've shifted that reality and you've come to an awareness and an understanding that maybe you can do some good in corporate, that's wonderful. That's your expansion of awareness. So then you're going into the next box. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just something to be aware of. You're aware that now you're shifting into this. Please be aware that all of the attitude about the mortgage brokers and the realtors and this and it's bad and for finance, it's like that's just another piece of the awareness, and you'll move from that and expand out of that box into another one, and that's all good. So I say, if this feels good and it calls to you and you're excited about it and it's living and breathing and you're passionate about it, go for it. As far as the business end of it, I think that, yeah, you need to be grounded in a strategy, a plan that's workable, a tactical plan that's, that you're moving in a direction that's actually not fighting or going uphill, because you don't need that right now. If you truly want to help, you want to find a flow that you can get in with, as opposed to just fighting an uphill battle constantly, because that's not going to be fun, and you'll get back into the corporate push of that I don't think you, as the conscious evolution you want, and your ultimate product of what you're trying to get, or the results that you're trying to get in the real estate or with the mortgage brokers, and handling that feud and that imbalance that's there. If you can just step into that place of being able to observe without the judgment, just take some of the judgment away and observe a little bit more, I think that you'll be really successful.
Well, there's no judgment there. It's just maybe you heard it as a judgment, but that I'm gonna let that one to be yours. There's no
Thank
judgment. I just have to describe the situation. Otherwise, what the heck are we going to talk about?
Oh, I could talk about lots of stuff.
Well, go ahead. We're just going to all talk about all the good things and not recognizing that we're still living in a duality. You know, I'm working on breaking out of this duality mode, but you know, there's still the movies are still about good and evil. When I turn on my television, are you seeing other movies?
Well, look, how would you know something's good if you didn't have the bad to compare it to, right? So that's the game.
Well, but I'm beyond that. I don't need to know that anymore. I'm beyond that. I think there is a way to use the good and evil and maybe shift them to something else and create something else that's much better than the good and evil. How about that?
Great. Yes. And?
And?
Yes, and. So what else would you like to talk about in Sandbox?
Well, I did my little thing.
Okay.
I did my little thing, and it's your turn.
All right. Let me tell you a story.
I exposed myself. What the heck?
You know, I wrote a book called Peace Doesn't Come in a Pill. And this idea of the quick fix. You know this since you experienced 10 years of, oh, well, I need to go and do some work on myself. It's not a quick fix, right? So the real estate and the mortgage brokers and that, we know it's not going to be a quick fix. So if we allow the process and we allow for what is occurring without us being so immersed in it that we forget who we are within this, then it's more difficult.
Well, but guess what, Stefana? I'm attracting the people that are like me. Matter of fact, I was interviewing somebody yesterday that's been in the business for 22 years, and when I talked to him on the phone, he figured out, because of the language that I used, that I did EST and I did landmark education. So I'm attracting the kind of people that are already open to this. They open to evolution. They have an open mind, and I'm not going after the people that are closed. I mean, why would I want to do that? I would be just talking to them, and they wouldn't even hear me.
Right. Well, good. So I think you will have a lot of fun doing that if you challenge yourself for that purpose of doing that. And it reminds me of something that I was talking about with another group, that when I was in high school, you know, when you're in high school you get electives. So there was an elective to take aviation, and I thought, well, I'm going to get to fly. That's going to be a blast. What else could be better than flying for 6 periods? Well, I come to find out that I'm in class studying books and slide rules and all of this information, right? Just information, but not doing, nothing practical. So 6 months through, we're done with the semester, and I finally get to go and have my first flight with my first flight instructor, and I walk up, and he sees me with the deer in the headlights look, and the first thing that he does is asks if I have ever seen an airplane up close like this, or a real one, you know, not the ones you get on and you sit and you're a passenger and you move from one place to the other. But he showed me that what I needed to do was to actually feel. And so we started to look around the plane, and we did a pre-flight check, and we looked at everything, and I touched it, and I smelled it, and I got to have the experience in that moment. And that was the first thing that he introduced me to. He says, okay, I get that you've got all this information, and we're going to just let that go. And then we get into the seat, and we're sitting next to each other, and it's really tight, and there's just a little bit of metal underneath my feet, and I'm thinking, this is actually going to go up in the air. How is this possible? And he sees me getting my anxiety back up, and he just says, okay, how about this? Let's just look at this for a moment. How about this? Would you be willing to just go up in the sky with me and look around a little bit and then come back down? What do you think of that? And I said, you know what? I could do that. And that calmed me down for that moment. And then from there, when we were up in the air and we were taking off, it was so exhilarating. And he said, listen, I want you to listen, not just with your ears, but with your body, and start to feel the nuances of the air and how it's very different than being on the ground, and notice certain things and be able to start to understand, but it's still listening to your body and listening to the gauges and listening as a tool. And from there, he taught me to observe when there was turbulence, to just notice rather than make big course corrections, because the worst thing that you can do in flying an airplane is over course correct, because you can actually take yourself into a tailspin if you're, you react and, oh no, I think this is terrible, or that happened, and what if this means this, that we've just gone up in the air, this means we could crash, and so I course correct. And so by the time we get down and we land, I am just in exhilaration. And what an experience that was for me, that could have been horrible and so stressful, but I had an instructor who was competent and could guide me and mentor me and enhance my already full love for flying and for being connected in that way to this new gift of transportation that I was starting to understand. And then we do our finishing rounds, and we look around, and he pulls out this little toolbox, and it's just like a little toolbox I'd have at home. And he says, look, this toolbox, I know this looks like a hammer and it looks like a wrench and all of these, and he says, this hammer, this wrench, this belongs only to her. And this Citabria, a magnificent airplane, this hammer is perfect for her. We don't take it and we don't use it on our car, and this wrench will never go over and fix this airplane or that helicopter. This will always stay in here, this toolbox. We will never add more toolboxes. She's complete with her toolboxes. We will never take them away. We will ensure that these tools are in the best working order. And we finished with that. To this day, I use this principle and an analogy of piloting, not only piloting your life, but the acronym I use now, because we're already in flight with our lives. Would you agree? I mean,
Absolutely.
Life is happening. We're in flight, so we either have a destination that we know.
Ever since we were born.
Yes. So we either know our destination and we're on a course that's set for that destination, or we're all over the place and we're course correcting like crazy because we don't know where our final destination is, or we have no clue where our interim destinations are, you see? So the pilot method, this is what I call, I just brought this in to something as a tool to help get that, just the basics. Now, we hear this in all different kinds of ways, but I love this one for me because I have such an affinity for flying, especially small engine planes. P, that moment he saw me, and I was not present at all with that airplane. I wasn't even seeing the airplane. I was seeing all the books and the different fuselages that I'd seen and studied. But the moment I started practicing presence by touching the airplane, by feeling it and smelling it and listening and sensing the temperature of it and knowing this experience, I was practicing presence, and that's the P for pilot. Now the I, when we were sitting down and I was freaking out again and I was looking at all the gauges, and he says, look, how about if we just go up in the air and look around a little bit and then come back down? He was setting an intention, and to set an intention and be intentional in your life is huge. It's a tremendous one. It's a gift, and it allows you to realize that you are the pilot of your life. And if you choose to put your life on autopilot, that's fine, as long as you have it going to the right direction. And the final destination is one of your choice and your choosing, not one someone else has chosen or you've gotten by default. So that intention is huge. Leading your life from that place of intention is tremendous. Now, going back to this isn't like practicing presence and you're done. It's something we do every day, every moment. Whenever we need to come back to that moment and practice presence. And intentional, same thing. I set intentions every day. We set an intention before we started the show. And then L, of course, was listening. That was very, very key. And for a long time, I just used listening, but not just with the ears, but with the heart. But I also added then laughter, because it's just impossible to be stressed out and laughing at the same time. And I really love that we can lighten up with the power of laughter. So I use that. And I don't mean joking and degrading laughter. I'm not talking about degrading someone and being laughing at them or using someone's disgrace or making them feel terrible as a way to empower yourself.
I think that's,
yeah, I'm talking about lightening up and releasing that, because there's great power in that. And it's true, you cannot be angry and be laughing at the same time. It's physically impossible. Now, L would not be complete without love. And I don't mean the sweet, gushy boyfriend, girlfriend, lovey-lovey. I'm talking about that vibration. You know, that vibration that is where miracles are created. We've had people who've walked on this planet where miracles just appear around them because their vibration is that high, is in love and above. And that is, you know, think of the Gandhi, the Dr. Martin Luther King, the Jesus Christ, the Buddha. So we have that empirical evidence that miracles just occur when you are in that vibrational state that's much higher. Things like that occur, and they can happen every single day when we step into that vibrational place. I think with women and men, doesn't have to be, but women are more in touch with that natural essence of their power and love more easily. Perhaps it is because we've birthed our child, and that miracle of birthing our child is there, right? So natural for us. Then perhaps that is why love is easier for us to express and to create and to emanate. But that is something that we can all experience
and to be loved.
Yes, and to all express. And then, of course, O is observation. So observation, when we notice, when we take the time, and it's a skill, observation's a skill, it's not something we're just automatically born with, especially nowadays where we're not practicing that. We're kind of just superficial or trying to put things out there and post on Facebook really quickly that, oh, everything's going great. Meanwhile, there's like, the house is on fire. You know, we have to start practicing the skill of observation, not judging. So we're leaving the judging off, and we're just noticing and seeing that, oh, okay, this is what's going on, so that we can course correct more easily, and we can make those corrections nice and subtly because we have observed correctly. We have observed what is, as opposed to observed with a bunch of extra added judgment and shoulds and I need, and compared to that. The observation is the ability to actually see what is without adding all the extra noise or all the extra shoulds or all the extras. Now we compare here, and that requires us getting present and being intentional and being light-hearted and laughing and lightening up and being in a place of love. So it all ties together. Now T, of course, is tools. You know, how could I not finish with that image in my mind that's just engraved there, this toolbox. And now I look at, even with my two sons, they're totally different people, but they have, you know, as a parent, sometimes we would just say, well, we're going to raise our children one way, but you cannot. Each individual human being is a different person, different, just like a different airplane. They require different tools. They require their tools. And I firmly believe that the individual needs to create their own tools and choose their own tools. Now, me as a parent, and parents in general, have a responsibility to empower their children with tools that are workable, or the most workable that they think of, and then also empower their children to be able to observe and note when some tool is not working, that maybe mommy gave me a tool that, you know what, I'm not liking that so much. That doesn't work for me. It may work for you, but you know what, I'd rather go ride my bike than sit and do some ohms, mama. And so I get that. Their therapy is maybe to go ride a bike, or for my other son, he likes to sit and read, and that's his piece. For me, it's different. So now to empower all of us to know that we have our own toolbox that we need to create. And it has your name on it, nobody else's name. And sometimes there's going to be tools in there that you need to get rid of. And sometimes there's tools that have buried your truth and buried the real tools that are underlying there, and you need to go through them and look at them and say, is this something that's workable? Let me try it. Oh, this isn't too bad. Can I enhance this a little bit? Can I maybe get a different handle? Do you see what I'm saying? I'm being a little bit maybe juvenile about this, but the fact is, I think when we all can step into that place of piloting our own lives and being conscious that where our destination is and being in that space that's allowing us to come into that presence of who we are, whether that's now you being ready to go back into the corporate world and you choosing to go into the world of finance and you choosing to hone it down a little bit more into the world of the mortgage brokers and the realtors and how that influences, impacts so many people's lives, because people will be getting homes, and hopefully that will be a stable economy and a stable place within an industry again that really took a heavy toll on many, many people's lives throughout the entire world. The real estate, the whole arena was very harmed and very hurt, and hopefully you can shed some beautiful light and shift that energy around there. I believe you can. So I send that to you and hope that with all of the tools that you have, I mean, you have your own tools as Steve, but you also have your specific tools as the Conscious Evolution founder and creator that are different tools as you expand into your gifts and your magic and as we all expand out from our capacity of who we are and who we are here to fully be.
Yeah. Well, this is a great metaphor. I was really engaged with you. And you must be doing this in your public speaking, because I can see and feel how people would get engaged with this story. It's a very good story.
Yeah,
Thank you
I love
for sharing it.
My favorite. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, it's amazing. So what makes a woman tick, like really, when it comes to fulfillment?
I don't know what makes all women tick. I know what makes me tick.
Okay. Were you willing to share it?
So that's a pretty big question, and there's a lot to share on that. What specifically would you like to know?
Well, in terms of your experience with the women that come to you for helping them with their business, where do you begin in terms of what's the first thing you tell them that they need to do? Like, what's first base?
Okay. Yeah. So it's going to be different with everyone. I just gave you an analogy of the tools. I don't look at every woman as every woman and it's this cookie cutter approach and one size fits all. I'm definitely not that way. What I kind of liken it as is that first, what I'm going to do is help them build their stage. I use a lot of the theater analogy because of a background in theater and stage, and so I give them the idea of building their stage, which needs to have foundation, which needs to have strength. And then I also talk about, well, here's where when we hide out in the wings, or we're in the pit, or we're actually in the audience when we're the ones that should be center stage, in the spotlight, singing, expressing our truth, expressing our gifts, expressing our music, we have to look at, well, ultimately, that's what I'm working with them on, is for them to step into and step onto center stage, their center stage. But first we have to ensure that we've got the right stage. We may not even be in the right theater, We may be in the one that's boarded up down the street and it's long gone, but they're still in that theater. And it's like, no, let's get out of that one and let's find a new stage if we need to do that. So we look at it that way first, and I really spend enough time with them that they are crystal clear on what their stage is, and that grounds them. And then when we look at things that might be holding them in the wings and making them stay the understudy, you know, where they're not fully standing in their power, where we need to work on some pieces, and a lot of it has to do with healing the past. A lot of it has to do with healing trauma in different capacities. That tends to come up 100% of the time, and for me, that's okay. For me, I want that to come up. If I'm not seeing a change or some of that come up, then I know I haven't actually hit on the right spot. I know that they're kind of pussyfooting around and not quite stepping into the spotlight. You know, I'll hear them say it sometimes, and I'll keep it noted down, but by the time we get to the third or fourth session, I've noticed that there it is again, and they are either avoiding their center stage or they're running from their spotlight. And so we just handle whatever it is that's blocking them.
And do you feel that that comes from their inability to speak their own truth?
Well, that is a symptom of their barriers. And again, everyone has their own barriers. There is no one barrier or this is the reason why and this must get handled, because even somebody who has had the quote-unquote exact same experience, was in the same accident, was in the same experience, childhood, growing up, or whatever, same thing, they still experienced it the way they experienced it. So the
story is different.
Their story, their experience, their interpretation, their then imagination of what they have created in their own imagination that has then brought them to where they are. Most of the things that are happening are 20 years in the past that are still right here in their lap, that are keeping them silent and keeping them choking on their truth, on their music. And, you know, who is it that said it? I don't want anyone to die with their music inside of them. And that's true for me. That I feel viscerally, that I don't want anyone to die with their music inside of them, because I know, not only do I know that if they don't bring their music, someone is starving, someone is not getting what they need. And that's so true for me. That I understand. I've seen it empirically over and over and over again. So
Stefana, you may have heard this before. I don't know, but let's check it out. So, have you heard this before, that there are two very important days in our lives? The first one is when we were born, and the second one is when we finally figure out why we were born.
Well,
does this ring true for you at all? That
you know, I'm not. No. I'm not one that's like there's one definitive day and there's one, and because the mere fact that you were born, that's reason why enough. That you are here, that you are in this moment, you are why. Because you are. Period. Now all the other stuff that we have to deal with is just what we have to deal with. You get to choose why and how and what. You get to choose, because that's...
Well, then what do you call being awake and becoming to be conscious? What do you call that then? If that's not a specific transformational moment or a specific day or a specific experience.
Oh, well, sure, of course that's a transformational day, but for transformational days, for me, is every day. Every day is a transformational day.
But what I'm talking about is I'm talking about our ability to be who we are.
Okay.
It's our ability to say, like, I remember still that before I became awake and conscious, I didn't know that there was anything wrong.
Okay. But you could feel it.
But I just didn't know that I didn't know.
Right. I get that. But you
I
felt
was just
something,
living day to
right?
day, doing the same stuff over and over and over again, just like in the Matrix. Take the
Yeah.
red pill and take the blue pill. You know, I took the blue pill. I didn't know. I thought everything was just fine.
And that is okay. There is
For sure,
nothing
it's
wrong
okay.
with that.
No, I'm
Nothing
not
wrong
saying that there is something wrong with it.
with that.
because what I learned about me is that what I resist persists, right? So I'm okay with what's going on right now. I'm even right with what's going on between you and I right now. I'm not resisting it.
Hooray! Yeah, you know.
You're a very smart woman and a very strong woman,
Yeah.
and I want to be your friend. I'm not going to fight with you.
Okay. Wonderful. I am truly interested in how we can find that place of joy. And what that means for me is different than what it means for you, what it means even to my husband. And I've been married for 14 years, and you'd think I would know exactly what brings him joy, and he should know what brings me joy. And my gosh, talk about differences and blah. But that is...
It's not really our responsibility to know what somebody else is doing over there. Do you think
No,
it
but it'd be
is?
nice. It'd be nice if he knew what brought me joy, and he'd do more of it.
Well, tell
I
him.
think he would think the
How
same
about
thing
just
about
telling
me.
him?
No, of course, but he wants the same thing with me. It's like,
But
I'm
then
not
when
going to
you
do
tell
it.
him and he does it, then if that's not, then you say, well, that's not it exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's life, and that's interpersonal relationships. So it is not this perfection that we're seeking. It's this joy, and it's moving more towards that, right? It's moving more towards that understanding, and for me, there is no perfection. There is no completion. There is no
Well, how about if it's just perfect just the way it is right now? How about that?
well, sure. If you cannot define perfection as some arbitrary Kardashian's hot ass, and my ass does not look like that, do you know what I mean? Because that's, someone may say, well, that's perfection, but do you see what I'm saying? So
But
you've got to really be
to me,
clear on what your definitions are.
For me, Stefano, that's a trap already. The fact that we're going to define these things,
Right.
that's a trap.
Right, but because we're using words, for me to say perfection, people who have perfectionistic tendencies like myself will go like, oh, I'm not quite perfect. Oh no,
But that's something you have to live with because you said so.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just part of the game. Because do you know what? A year ago, I decided to get in better shape because there was something around that. I wasn't perfect, and but I could be closer to what I think would feel better for me physically, right? Now, we're talking about this level here physically, so I know that's not where you wanted to go. But yes,
But those are all your definitions, and that's fine. That's fine. And we have no control over what other people's definitions are and what they're going to say about you. You may think that you're perfect, and you're running around with all these people, and they don't think you are.
Right. Oh dear.
Now what? Now what?
But going back to what you said, and I know you came from that place of we are all perfect here at that essence of
at the moment.
And yes,
if we knew any different, if we knew any better, that's what we would be.
Yeah. Okay.
Right now, this is all there is, and the futile thing to do is to resist it. Like, this is not okay. Right. It has to be okay because this is what's happening.
Yes. Yes. And there's another box that we get to expand out from and see more and be aware of more and experience more and express more. And then there's another box and another.
Yes, and we have an opportunity. Like the way I describe this for me is like I am the conductor of the orchestra. So
Okay.
so
Yes.
I have all these people in my life, and that's my orchestra, and they all playing an instrument.
Right.
And all of us working together, and I'm directing this, there is a certain kind of music that's coming out at the other end. I
Mhm.
either like the music or I don't like the music. If
Mhm.
I don't like it, I can do something about it. And so can everybody in the orchestra can do something about their part. If they don't like it, they can get up and walk.
Yes.
If I don't like it, I can say, thank you very much. I'm replacing the person that's playing the organ. Because I don't
Yes.
like the music that's coming out of the organ. I have that choice.
Yes. Yes. I agree.
So, and so that's what I'm working on, is to have this beautiful music that I really, really like and enjoy. There's the word joy.
Yes.
Not just enjoy, but it's joy. It's like when I hear good music, and this is same as life, when I hear good music, I feel it in my spine, and I get goosebumps.
Nice.
When I'm having an incredible, joyful experience, and I've had it a couple of times with you, maybe more than a couple of times, I felt goosebumps. That's how I train myself to know whose presence am I in.
Beautiful.
My
Yes.
body reacts to it. It's like, wait a minute. Yeah. And a couple of times, I was about to fight you on something, and then I let it go. I said, why? Why do that? Why do that?
Mhm.
She's so beautiful. She's so incredible. Why? I was almost about to create some conflict, and I'm going like, what the hell? I don't need to do that.
Isn't that
I can
interesting?
just kind
Great,
of,
recognizing that. I love that you can express, that you can recognize that. That's a great modeling for men and women, for anyone listening to that, because
and I felt it.
the
I
more
felt
we
it.
can
I said, you know
recognize
what?
it,
I'm
wonderful.
creating this tension.
Mhm.
Let's just take it easy. And I even let you just have it all. Just here's the mic, take it, because I'm going somewhere where I don't really want to go.
Congratulations on recognizing that. That is a tool. That's a gift. That's observation. That's our power, and that's our ability. And that moment of choosing and making that conscious choice redirected and gave that gentle course correction. And that's what life can be. So
Yes.
that your
Yes,
outcome,
that's
and this
awesome.
outcome of the completed show now, is that it's this experience instead of something that it could have been some other experience. So I thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And it's fantastic because, I even told you, and I acknowledge you that you are very pretty and very powerful, and and of course you probably already know that in my past I had issues with powerful women. I would fight them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need to do that anymore because guess what? I still want tons of powerful women around me, but I want to have great relationships with them. And I'm not going to get to create that if I'm going to have conflict, and I'm going to create conflict. And I get to say something about that because I'm the one that starts it.
Steve, that is huge. That is so huge. Not that you said that and that you could express that and be so humble in expressing that. I really want to acknowledge you for that because that's tremendous. And that's modeling as a man and as a strong man in your own essence. It's really powerful what you just did. So thank you for that. That is really a gift to men and women, to be able to recognize in our own selves what that is. So that was tremendous. And thank you for
Yeah, thank
sharing
you.
that experience
Yeah.
that you went through.
Because the outcome is predictable. If you continue down on that path, the outcome is predictable.
Yes. Yes.
So
And
I wanted a different experience, and I just said it has to shift. Like right now.
exactly. And you made that choice. Yes.
Yeah. And
Well
so,
done.
guess what? We just demonstrated not only that, what you just said, but we demonstrated that time doesn't exist because this show is like 4 minutes over, and when we get engaged with each other, and we certainly have, time disappears. Time and space absolutely disappears. And it just proves, show after show after show, that when we are in the present moment and we are just being with each other, and we can get this chatter in our head to turn off, magic happens.
Yes.
So thank you very much for being such an awesome, powerful, and smart woman. There's a lot of you out there, and I welcome it, and I hope, well, hope is a weird word, but my wish is that more and more of you will start turning up in all these big corporations and government and healthcare and every place else, because your input and your energy and your balancing what's going on in the world is absolutely critical.
Thank you. Yes, I agree.
So thank you so much, and I again acknowledge you for doing what you're doing, because I know that you're changing and assisting people every day to change their own lives. You're not changing their lives; they're changing their lives, but it's with your assistance, and that's absolutely outrageous and fantastic. Thank you for being that, and thank you for being on the network, and for everybody else. If there's anything that Stefano said or I said that touched, moved, and inspired you, continue to come back to ConsciousEvolutionMedia.com. Continue to engage with our shows and watch them. There's plenty of them. And don't forget to come back. We're on the network every day at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, 9 p.m. Eastern, and 6 p.m. Pacific. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much, and we'll see you then.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.